name is Abbygale Sanchez. I'm 19 years old.
Okay, and then what is your Latin identity or your Latinidad?
I'm Mexican American.
Do you feel connected to your Latinidad? Like, do you feel Latina enough?
Um, Most of the time, no. I'm like second generation, so both my parents were born here, and they didn't raise me speaking Spanish, so I had to learn Spanish on my own. I feel like that's a big part of it. Like, if you don't speak Spanish, then you're not like
Yeah.
seen as very Latino, just because I'm pretty pale and I don't look, at least to the people I was surrounded with. I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood, so a lot of people assumed that I was just like white with like brown hair, and so that was also like that also had an effect on the way I saw myself, because I was like, okay, like nobody even thinks I'm Latina, nobody thinks I'm Mexican, so then I don't look Mexican, I don't sound Mexican. Also, I grew up somewhat cultured. I think my parents still were somewhat cultured. I think my dad, I got most of my culture from my dad's side of the family, because they're still very cultured. Most of the people on my dad's side of the family speak Spanish, and they didn't grow up in neighborhoods that sort of put a damper on their culture. And so whenever I was with them, I felt like more like connected to my identity, I guess. Mm-hmm. My mom's side of the family, however, I think my mom associates a lot of her culture with struggle, and so she doesn't want to, I guess, relive the struggle that she went through as a kid, because she grew up very poor. She grew up in government housing, and so a lot of the bad aspects of her childhood she associates with her culture, because that's what she grew up around. Mm-hmm. And so I did not, I guess, receive or see culture as a good thing from her side. So it was just kind of like a half and half, where I kind of felt like, I know that I am like Mexican, like I know that that's what I am. I know my family speaks Spanish, but it doesn't necessarily feel like I
am. What was your favorite piece of media as a child, and why? Like movies, TV shows, books, etc.
I was a big Disney Channel kid, and also books. I read a lot. My mom was very like, education is, the key to success, and she really wanted us to be educated. So I think that influenced a lot of the stuff we also watched. Like, we weren't allowed to watch like SpongeBob or like The Simpsons or anything that was seen as like not like appropriate or educational. My brother loved Disney Channel, so we would always be watching like Liv and Maddie or Jessie, and like Hannah Montana. Anything that had like musical stuff in it too. My brother loved to sing. So then books, I think just like classics like Harry Potter was really big in our house, and like just like young adult like fiction, so like Divergent, The Hunger Games.
Did you ever feel seen in that media, like represented or related to it in any way?
Not culturally, no. I think maybe like it was like, oh, like she's a girl like who like goes through these experiences or whatever, but they were never tied to anything like cultural. Even seeing like Selena Gomez or like in like Wizards and Waverly Place and like shows like that, like they would never emphasize like her culture either. I think that when I realized that she's like Hispanic, I was like, oh my God. Like this whole time I did not know. Or maybe I guess I imagined myself like reading The Hunger Games, like you never think like, oh, she's just like you imagine yourself. I feel like when I read like main character is me, like I'm her. So like I would imagine myself or like someone who looked like me, I guess, in the spot of like the main character, because I think books it's easier. They never are super descriptive about what they look like, or even if they start like describing a character, I'm like, not important, and I move on, and I make up my own description of what I think the character is. So.
Did you notice any of these feelings when you were a kid, or did you see them more as you got older?
I like knew that like they looked like different than me, I guess, even though I am still like somewhat white passing. I was like, okay, well, like she's like wearing a blonde wig, like Miley Cyrus or whatever. But, like I never understood like what representation was as a concept, or like why it was important. I just knew that it wasn't there. And then growing up or like looking back at it and then learning about all this stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, like I never saw that as a kid. Like,
do you think any of this has had a lasting impact on you, yourself, like your self-worth or sense of belonging?
I guess me as a person, I think I'm just like this like combination of everything, everybody I've ever met or like everybody I've ever seen, like even like down to like the little phrases I say. I steal people. Like I find myself saying stuff that like other people say. And definitely as a kid growing up, I was like inspired by the like people who I read about or saw on TV. So I guess, yeah, to some extent, it influenced the type of person I was. Maybe if I was watching like more shows as a kid, that maybe if I was watching shows in Spanish, like I'd be better at speaking Spanish now.
Yeah. What do you wish your younger self could have seen in her media?
Like watching the shows that like my parents watched growing up, even, because I feel like that would have been maybe a little bit more impactful. Or even just seeing like knowing like if somebody was Latina that they were when I saw them, and that like being reflected in the shows that I was watching, because I was like seeing like cultural food or like cultural practices or stuff like that, because I was never really there, like
Yeah.
unless it was like something that was specific to like I remember in Jesse, like Ravi, like he's Indian, like he's from India, and they had like an episode where they're like all like wearing like clothes and like dancing, and I was like, oh, that's like it was kind of silly, but it's like that stuff never really happened for any characters that were like even seen as,
Yeah.
like even if you knew they were Latina, it was never really like, oh, like let's celebrate that, let's go do like this. Like,
Yeah.
hey.
Yeah.
And then I think about like Wednesday, the show that she, like that one, like they focus a little bit more on it. Like you, like both her parents, like they speak in Spanish to each other sometimes. And like I've seen like interviews where she's like, oh, like I wanted to focus on that. And I'm like, dang, if I had to watch a show like that where I was like, oh, like she's clearly supposed to be Latina, like that whole family's supposed to be Latino, or speaking Spanish to each other, like he's like mi amor, this and that. It's like, okay, like that's something I would have liked to see, because it doesn't feel forced. It just feels like that natural, like to what they are.
If you could change one piece of media from your childhood to kind of gift to your younger self, what would it be and why?
Maybe like the Hunger Games. I think like a book, being more blatant about it. I don't think I've ever read like a dystopian novel that's like clearly about like ethnicity or like identity or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it's always just like I swear, like every like very popular dystopian like book that I've read is just about like a bunch of white people. It's like I know that like in a dystopia, like it would not be that easy. Like think about it now, but like as a kid, maybe just being like, oh, like Katniss everything, like oh, like she was like Latina or whatever. Like that would have been cool just to know. And like, because I feel like there's no culture in any of those books either, which is like, I feel like it's hard because it's like dystopian or whatever. But I think even in like harder times, there's going to be some like presentation of culture that's more like important, I think. So it'd be cool to just to see, because I like looked up to, like, I always looked up to like the main like character. And especially in the books where it's like a girl, like that was important to me. And I was like, oh, like she's cool. Like she's like shooting arrows and stuff, like, oh, that's so cool. Like I literally made my dad buy like a bow and arrow for me because of her. So I was like, that'd be cool to see it, like,
yeah,
just in the background for her.